Hey guys, it's Syama here, CEO of Scaling Retail, and we are here with another Instagram Live as we talk through Retailing Weekly and everything that's happening in the landscape of retail. So, one of the things that I think is so interesting that we've been noticing over the last couple weeks here is really just how the economic climate has been shifting. For the majority of a lot of small business brands out there, you've recently been able to acquire some of the PPP loans. Also, the emergency loan has been coming through on the federal level, so we're seeing a lot more small businesses starting to get funded. However, one of the biggest issues that I've been seeing with a majority of our clients, and then also with a lot of business owners who we've been speaking to, are truly, what to do when that funding is over. So obviously, to be able to qualify for that funding, you have to have employees, and there's a certain number of people who you have to put back on payroll in order for that to be useful. But the issue is now, that PPP loan is only truly designed for 2 months. So right now, when we're looking at when the economy is starting to bounce back, we're actually looking at things starting to come back towards the end of the summer in terms of wholesale during the summer. But then ultimately, when it comes to, the traditional, let's say, Main Street, brick and mortar stores, things really opening up in terms of being in full effect. We're not really seeing that happen now until Q3. So that means that we're looking at, September as really being the time frame where that happens, and then certainly looking to a better expanded and more robust Q4. So one of the biggest issues, guys, again, is not just fueling business for over the next 2 months when you have employees that you have to pay, but then certainly what does this look like ongoing as the market still hasn't yet quite opened up. States right now are opening up on regional levels. New York State is starting to open up in a variety of capacities. I'm out here in New York City right now, and it has definitely been, one of those areas where, the city was probably going to be the last to open up. So when we're looking at how states are opening and commerce, it's important to realize that a lot of businesses are simply not going to be ready to be able to hire back employees because the demand just won't be there. Similarly, when we start to look at what's happening across the restaurant line and hospitality, if people aren't out there, they're so conscious and they're not ready to make a purchase, then certainly the demand for those products aren't going to be there regardless if we can pay for employees or not. So I think that that's a consideration that needs to be explored a little bit more, especially as those of you guys are receiving the PPP loans. You have to ask yourselves what happens kind of beyond that 2 month time period. How do you then further keep your business afloat? Now, the other thing that I've been seeing is interesting is some businesses are actually doing quite well right now. Outside of the mask industry, which I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, other industries in terms of athleisure, other kinds of markets in terms of beauty, skincare, wellness, those markets are doing well. We're also starting to see companies, again, transition back into things like, online marketplaces or where to sell online so you can hit those fall and winter deliveries. So I think there are a lot of different components right now and things that are indicating that the market is going to be moving in a positive direction. We have that capability, but how that's going to go into alignment with loans and hiring and juggling all of that together, to me it's not still 100% clear. So my advice is, if you were granted the PPP loan, great, but you definitely want to be conscientious of how you're deploying it, and if it's actually going to make a long-term difference in your business, and then certainly what do you do after that's over, right? Is it a short-term spike of capital that's not really going to have a longer term impact, right? So those are things to consider. We've been doing crisis management calls with a lot of businesses, and to be honest, guys, the most interesting thing that we've been seeing are people who are trying to do more with marketing or find better ways of communicating. The spike in our inquiries for people who need communication strategies have definitely increased, which is fascinating. It used to be a lot more people were interested in just advertising solutions, but now we're seeing a lot of people understanding that their biggest issues here have to do in terms of core communication with their customer. It's not just about throwing dollars on an ad spend, it's about throwing the right dollars to the right consumer with the right kind of marketing messaging and advertising. On the side of further education and platforms, we will be doing some webinars and talking to some retailers, which I'm very excited about. Still solidifying the dates for that, but we'll be doing something with Liberty Fairs and Cabana to really be able to get some messaging out there and provide some education and insight into what's happening from the retail perspective of these brick and mortar stores. And then we're also going to be doing some workshops and working in collaboration with the city of Coral Gables to be doing some educational platforms to their retail brick and mortar stores. So education is still on the forefront of what we're doing, as well as collaborative and very interesting projects with clients. So things have been very, interesting across multiple fronts. Certainly funny to be working from home. I know many of you guys are also doing the same. I would say implementing some best practices here. I, for one, am definitely zoomed out as far as, leveraging and using Zoom for all of the calls. That's been kind of a tapped out space for me. But guys, I think as we look to see how distributed workforces are now going to be more heavily relied upon, I think there's going to be a huge push towards having distributed workforces. So my suggestion for you would be definitely to take a look at your current hiring strategy and who you have working for you, and seeing if there's a way of alleviating any sort of pressure in terms of an office space or who you have working on what projects. This particular catastrophe of the coronavirus, I think, is going to shift the way in which we look at labor and how we work in general. So I'm really interested to see how those dynamics shift and what that might mean as we continue to launch and scale and grow businesses. All right, guys, that's all from me this week on Retailing Weekly. Apologies for the background noise, but not much I can do about that. Please feel free to send us an email at hello@scalingretail.com. I'll be going on live with Embark Live and Makers Row this week, talking about marketing and business building strategies. That will be on Thursday. And then on Friday, we're actually going to be back on Instagram Live doing a one-on-one interview with another brand. So this has actually been really exciting. Last week on Friday, we did our first one, and we did an interview with a brand for 30 minutes. And we're starting to get more interest in people who want to jump on live and chat with me and brainstorm their business strategies. So if you're interested in being a live one-on-one, send us an email at hello@scalingretail.com. Otherwise, see you Thursday on Embark Live, and then Friday back here again, and Tuesday I'll be back here too. All right, guys, that's all for me. I'll talk to you soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.